Hi, everybody. This is Tom with That Hashtag Show, and I have some very special guests here today. I have the cast of Power Rangers Unworthy, the 2018 fan film that won first place at Powermorphicon. If you see, I've got a lot of folks here, and I think they all want to say hi. So we'll start with Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan, creator, writer, Power Rangers Unworthy, and also Blue Ranger.
And then next to me, I believe I have Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine. I play the Yellow Ranger Trini from Power Rangers Unworthy.
And then all the way down there in a red shirt might happen to be a Red Ranger.
Hello, I'm Eric Fuchs. I play Rocky, the Red Ranger on Power Rangers Unworthy.
And everybody sees here, we've got 4 people here. 3 of them we've seen on Morph, except for this guy just below me. James, you introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. I'm James Robinson. I played the Arbiter. And I'm always coming after those Rangers.
Wonderful. So just first question, go to Jordan. Where did the idea for this come from? I mean, there looks like there was so much planning ahead of time before the fan film. Was the announcement of the fan film the catalyst to get this going? Or did you have an idea to do this beforehand?
I mean, as a lifelong Power Rangers fan, I've always kind of had a dream of making my own Power Rangers series. You know, back in the day, playing with your little action figures, making your own story in your head. But it really just comes from a place of just like my love for a bunch of different pop culture stories and franchises like Terminator, The Flash, Marvel and DC, like all that stuff together. And I just wanted to make a Power Rangers series that I felt like was for the fans that had since grown out of the old school Power Rangers stuff. You know, as a kid, Power Rangers is awesome, but as you get older, you realize that it's not really for us anymore. Like, it's not as mature as maybe we would like it to be. So I just wanted to kind of inject those sensibilities, like the modern day fan, into the Power Rangers series, as I used to love it as a kid. So.
How about down to you, Eric? How did you feel about when Jordan approached you for doing this project? Where's your background at, and how did you two know each other to hook up for this?
Well, first off, I want to reply to Jordan just to say, Power is not meant for my audience. You gonna tell me that it's not made for adults like me? I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Yeah.
Can't relate.
Can't relate.
So annoying.
Timeless. And then, so to answer your question, Jordan reached out to me when he was starting the whole series and trying to find people. We were actually already forming like a small group for like YouTube projects, and he put out the backstage ad and stuff like that. And I guess he had seen my background in martial arts already. And so when he was considering the casting, he was like, "You want to be the Red Ranger?" I said, "Me?" and then it was all good to go. I come from years of martial arts and basically just growing up in a martial arts school. I started stunts when I was about 18, so like 4 or 5 years ago, and I guess from there it was a perfect fit. You know, he said you'd be good for the role. I said thanks.
Wonderful. How about you, Christine?
Wow. Well, I also answered a backstage ad. And I think I just had to send in like a martial arts self-tape of me just hitting the bag. I started Taekwondo when I was like 10, but I was like definitely not living in the dojo like Eric was. Like I knew like basic rounds and jab, like I knew like really basic stuff, but I have to really hand it to the team for really like teaching me and like, you know, really bringing me into the stunt world, how to do falls, how to spin, how to do all that. But primarily I'm still an actress, and I was looking on backstage for acting roles, and I never really considered my martial arts as an asset, which I don't know why, but I answered it and I was like, okay, you guys are making your own indie stuff and you have your own system going. Like, this is perfect for me at this point in my career. So should I tell them the story when I like first came in and
Stories. We love stories. That's why we're here. We're here to talk stories.
Man.
We want to know about you guys.
It's a good one.
Okay, so I came in, and so I'm from Brooklyn, and they were training in Jersey, somewhere like across the where were you guys? Like Leonia or something like that?
Like Fort
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah, Fort Lee. Either way, it was like a 2.5 hour commute for me because I didn't have a car. I was late. I was nervous. This was one of like my first like in-meet auditions, and I just really wanted to impress them, and I really didn't work out for a long time since I took a pause from martial arts. I just came back from like a vacation in Europe where I was just like super stressed and super tired, and I came in and they had me like run on a treadmill to get me warmed up, and I didn't even get to showing them what I could do. So I was like, I could run so fast, guys. Just look at me. I did not eat breakfast. I'm doing all the things that should be done before an audition. So I'm running, and nobody's even looking at me. They're like, off like to the side, like warming up, and I'm trying to get their attention. And then I'm like, they come back to me and they're like, hey, how are you doing? Are you warmed up? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm so good. I'm so good. And apparently my face like turned completely white, and like all the color just got sucked up from my face, and I was like, can I just like use the bathroom? Like I'll just be back. I'll just be in like 2 minutes. So I don't even go to the bathroom. I just lay on the floor, and they're like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And I bolt to the bathroom, and I'm like in there by myself for like 2 minutes feeling nauseous, like really, really nauseous. And they come to check up on me, and they're like, hey, are you good? And I'm like, yeah. What'd you say, Eric?
I said, did you die?
Did you die? Like, yes, but no. So, yeah, I was hacking my guts up, fun times, and I was like, they'll never, like me, like over the toilet, I was like, they're never gonna have me back. This is the worst day of my life. And apparently they were like, oh my God, having a horrible time. She's never gonna come back. So we were both like thinking.
Yeah, meanwhile.
Yeah. So I didn't get to show them anything, but I got
date.
oh yeah, love that.
Wow.
So you can just call me like the master of first impressions.
That'll be your probably your high bar, memory for an audition ever. So James, how did you get? So I see that Eric and Christine were, Jordan put out on backstage. James, how about you? How did you get involved with the production?
So I knew Jordan since about like my senior year in high school, and it was awesome. Jordan was from the town right next door to mine, and so all the artsy kids in the hood, we go chill out in the suburban area, so we not that Jordan was right next to the hood too. Jordan was right up in there. So we used to always hang out with Jordan, and we was all into anime, everything, if it was if it was geeky, we was into it. So, video games, Smash Brothers, all that. So we had, years went by, life separated us through the way life does. And then, so we kind of seen each other here and there as time was going on. I had some kids, got a wife, And then what ended up happening was they started this, this YouTube thing, as Eric and Christine were telling about. And, Jordan said, is there any like super fit, beastly people that I know that are just like amazing? And the first person that came to his mind that he could afford was me.
So your scale was, yo, you're my homie. Let me just call you up.
Basically, yeah, he was like, I know somebody who can fight. So, I was always. So I didn't really have anything, I was into anything that was, doing anything that was geeky, anything that was fighting, anything that was cool. And they were doing everything that I loved, which was dressing up in costumes and play fighting on TV. And I was like, those are like my favorite things. So it was a match made in heaven. So they called me down. So I went out kind of similar to Christine's story. It was my first day, kind of just, them getting a feel for me, because I was already pretty entrenched into fighting for a long time in my life, in and out of the streets. But what ended up happening was, you know, they wanted me to fight, you know, for fake, and that was hard. I never faked for it before, so I was like, so I just came and they had to kind of teach me the ropes, show me how to, you know, how to act like I'm fighting, you know what I mean? So I was like, cool. And, you know, Eric was a great person for that because, you know, Eric has a lot of experience in fighting. So he was as plus kind of like translating that over to the screen. So it was good, me learning all these things. And then the Arbiter, you know, then the whole Power Rangers Unworthy thing started to actually birth out, because at first it was like in a lot of kind of like test mode. You know, they were doing just the Rangers and the costumes and just doing like, you know, just some test bids of the action and things like that. And that was really cool. But then, you know, actually, I didn't even realize that I was going to be the Arbiter, and they just was like, look, we're going to do this Arbiter role. You're going to be the villain, and you're the tallest one in the crew, so it works out. And I was like, awesome, cool. So, you know, that's kind of like the birth of that from my perspective, and that was the whole thing, and from there is history.
So, Jordan, with everybody's input that they've got there, what do you have to fill in? Where did the whole story, where did the ideas? I have tons of questions about the props and where you got the costumes and everything. So we'll get to that, but go right on ahead. To, you know, what can you fill in from everybody else's stories?
I mean, basically, it all just started with, like, in terms of the props, like my cosplaying. Like, so a lot of like my natural hobbies kind of all coalesced into filmmaking, like without even realizing. I never wanted to be a filmmaker. I originally was just thinking about writing, but, you know, as time went on and different demands were needed, like I became like the director, editor, like stuff like that. I mean, it was just a slow process of like building one brick at a time, of just meeting different people for different roles, finding people that could do different things, like from acting to music to art. And like Christine said before, it's kind of like the combination of all our different skill sets together that made Unworthy even possible. So, I mean, from finding people that could do cinematography to finding people that could do VFX, I mean, it was all just a one person at a time process. So just to throw out there for any potential filmmakers like watching this right now, like I've seen a lot of people make the mistake of trying to rush into it too fast. And I think what's more important than just jumping into filming is to build up a reliable team around you that have a varied skill set that all can pool their abilities together to make something that's greater than the sum of its parts. And I think that's what we have here with all the different people, different walks of life and different skill sets. And it's all, and I love it because it's exactly what Power Rangers represents. You know, like the whole moniker of Together We Are More, like for that to actually become real in the production of Unworthy, as a fan of Power Rangers, as a lifelong fan of Power Rangers, like that's like the best thing I could ask for. So I'm just happy with everybody.
That's very excellently well said. So because you guys are on Earth 2-16, correct?
218.
218. Pardon me. You know, why 218? There's got to be something, or did you just throw out some random numbers? There's got to be a story there.
Yes. The first episode premiered in 2018, and I took out the 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's your exclusive out of the whole interview. 218 is just because it's Tuesday.
Oh my god, I didn't even know that.
That's good. You know what's funny? I wanted to just add on real quick if I can. I don't know
Sure.
if there we go. Add on to what he was talking about, the development in the beginning. When we first started, I felt very much, I could relate to the new filmmaker when we were first getting together. And I was like probably 19 or whatever, and just like a really excited kid. You know, I was like, not that I'm not a still excited kid. I'm still an excited kid. But I was like really excited, and I was like, oh, what, we're going to do Power Rangers? Like, let's go. I love Power Rangers. I want to fight in costumes and stuff. But what Jordan was saying, we took years of development. Like when I look back at it now, we really did take like a year to get the costumes, a year to test them out, like half a year getting people together and getting the different. And even now we're still, like he said, building on top of our team, like, you know, voice actors, VFX people, editing, this thing, that thing. And back then I had no clue that, like, you know, that all that was necessarily needed or a good thing. To me, I was just like, damn, we're so slow. It's like, why are we taking so long to get started? And Mike, the Arbiter, was sitting in the wings for like a year, you know? Mike was with us, and we were doing the test fights and stuff. And I remember Jordan coming in when we would train, and he would like try on a new piece onto Mike. Like, here's the shoulder piece, Mike. Try this on. And I'd be like,
I
God
felt
damn
like
it.
I
When
was
is
getting a new part of the sword.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So every week he'd bring in, all right, here's the chest plate. Here's your kneecap. Here, and I'd be like, dude, just give him the whole thing already. Let's go. Like, let's get this started. And you know, then little did I know it, 2-3 years later, he's got the biggest role with like so many parts. He's in almost every scene. He's doing like ridiculous. Like, it's true. His part is the most demanding, where his fight scenes are the most extensive. He's got to be on all the time, and he's got to be in that suit all the time. And all that preparation time was really prepping him, prepping us, getting us ready to be what we are now. And I appreciate it a lot more now, looking back on that start.
So,
Yeah, agreed.
Speaking of prep, you know, we obviously know that with everything going on in the world now, right, with Corona, that yes, everything's had to take a back step. But on the flip side, how has it helped as far as production or writing or whatnot? Has that given you a chance to take a step back, take a good look at it, and maybe draw things out a little bit? Has that helped or hurt, or how's that work for you?
Oh yeah, at first it was like oh man, we just like had all successful episode 3, it had just blown up, and for it to be like a year plus wait at least at the time of like oh man, now we gotta basically just sit on our thumbs until Corona eventually goes away or whatever. So like all that momentum felt like it was going nowhere. But now with hindsight, I feel like the more time that we've been giving is actually a blessing in disguise. Like Mike was saying earlier too, it's like a thing where now we have more time to prepare. So now we have more time to put more time into the props, more time into the costumes. For me personally, for the writing especially, it's given me more time to write, rewrite, and make sure all the pieces I have in place for episode 4 are going to pay off and set up things in the future, pay off things from the past episodes, but also set up things for future episodes. A lot of my writing process is in the cloud phase, which just means I spend a lot of time just thinking about how different pieces of the plot or story or characters will connect to other pieces. So I like having the time so that I know that everything is leading to something. For me, story is always the most important. So I want to make sure that with this time that I've been given, that I can really like kind of like a sword that you're sharpening. This is time to kind of grind down the grindstone and make sure that everything that's in episode 4 is absolutely necessary and will be something that the fans will really like get into.
So fans, even better, you peaked on that too. So as you know, I can obviously tell everybody here has been fans of Rangers in the past at some point in their life. You have some amazing cosplayers in your movie. Where did you find them all? And there's one in particular we know we're going to have to talk about and mention, some guy in the Philippines, but we'll get to that. But where did you get the idea to call everybody up and say, yo guys, I need some stuff, help me out here?
Before I got into filmmaking or anything, I was a cosplayer. So I already had a pool of cosplay friends that I knew were Power Rangers in the community. And like I was saying before about the whole idea of like together we are more, like I always wanted Unworthy to be something for the fans and kind of made by the fans. So of course finding cosplayers that would want to be in the series is perfect, because that way I'm actually including the fandom in the show. And for a Power Rangers project, I don't think it's ever been done before. So I thought it'd be really cool to try and include people as much as I could. So a lot of the cosplayers we saw, oh, sorry.
I even think that's the first time we've ever seen King Tyranno on screen.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and that's a fan creation by Art of Tran on Instagram. He's really talented. But yeah, I just wanted Unworthy to be a project made for fans by fans, and including fans any way I can is like I think the best way to do that.
And one of the best faces out there in our Ranger community is Chris Cantata. Now, how the heck did you get him involved in the project?
Asked real nice. I was like, please.
Asking you shall receive.
Yeah, I mean, we had like bumped into him a couple of times before that, like at PMC 2018. So he didn't know of us. We actually showed him episode 1 before it premiered for the fan film competition.
Nice.
So that connection, it wasn't like a cold ask. I was just like, hey, we met before, and we're releasing episode 3 now. Like, would you want to be in it? I just want to, have as many cosplayers as I can. And he was totally down for it and super nice. So, and I love his fan series Mythos. I wish he made more episodes, but it was just awesome to actually include that, and people recognized it, so it was great.
My wife, who's the occasional Ranger fan, she's watched every episode with me too, and when she recognized Chris, she's like, "What? Huh? Ooh, how?" I like these guys.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, another thing you said about props. One thing that I really like about how you're doing the props on there is that to me it feels like a real big callback to Mighty Morphin back when I was a kid. I was just a little over the age for it when it originally came out. But I remember specifically one episode that Billy used an old Nerf blaster, And then I look at your props, I'm like, oh, he's got a Game Boy Pocket. He's got a Super Nintendo. He's getting things like I've recognized stuff back on the original show. Was that your idea to do that in this series, to say that, we can just pull something out of nowhere and make something?
I'm going to say yeah. But the reality is, and honestly, maybe it comes from a place like the real spirit of like the original Power Rangers, because I think that maybe in the same way that I'm doing it, they did that too, where I just pulled things that were around. So like the Super Nintendo, like we're dubbing it the Nintendo Teleporter in episode 4, but that was really just from a place of like, hey, I needed something that looks like a teleporting device. What do I have? I was in my garage. I'm like, Super Nintendo. Perfect. It's painted silver. Done.
So, and then you've got, obviously you said in the cosplay community, so that tells me where you've already gotten, those fantastic costumes from. They're very different than anything we've ever seen before, which is amazing. But let's talk about the Arbiter's costume. Like, whoa. Especially because now you have 2 of them. You've got the original Arbiter, and then you've got, after you got the piece off of them. When you put the chest piece on, and then it got all whacked out and dark and everything. What was it like designing or helping design any of that? Did you guys have any, say in that?
Oh, that came right out of Jordan's head.
Yeah.
I mean, but Eric kind of touched on it. Like it was a process. So it was like, hey, does this look good? No, we take this off. We put this on. Does that look good? No, let's take this off. So there's a couple of different iterations of the Arbiter that you can see like behind the scenes on our Instagram page but there's like different versions of him before he ended up being the version that you see in episode 1.
Tell us like what like parts you got inspired from, like what characters you got inspired from to kind of create the Arbiter.
Well, one of them is I actually make Billy say it in episode 2 where I call him the Terminator. That's number 1. That's the vibe I wanted, like the unstoppable machine type. Also, Black Flash and Savitar from The Flash. Very much his origin story of like being like a god, like the first speedster for Savitar is kind of like the first Ranger for Arbiter. The Black Flash motif of like a corrupted red Flash to a black Flash. That's kind of where the Arbiter comes from, his color scheme. What else? I think that's basically for the most part. And
We haven't even.
wait, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
We haven't even talked about the nightmare of fitting the costumes to the actors.
She beat me to it, but yeah, that's next.
Hey, can you come over and let me just like put stuff for your body for like 15 minutes?
A lot of Velcro, a lot of ripped seams, because we're also fighting and jumping all over the place in them, and sometimes like freezing. It's either freezing or really hot. There's like no in between. So it's like really a test of our mental stamina.
Yeah.
And what you don't see behind the scenes is how much like maintenance goes into keeping the costumes like functioning during a fight scene. It's like a race car stunt crew or a pit crew. It's like, all right,
It's like Jordan and one more person.
Yeah.
The glue is melting. Hurry up. We got to finish the scene.
Every especially with the Arbiter, every sequence that we do when it's like 1-on-1 or 2-on whatever, every sequence we got to be like, all right, cut, Velcro, let's go, and everybody, and you see like Jordan run in, it's like zoom, 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 zoom. It's like fixing a race car.
Exactly.
He's like, all right, okay.
Yeah, the thing
Every
I really
shot,
love.
like without.
Yeah, no, yeah. I would say the thing I really love. So just like Christine said, every episode had their own challenges, and the episode 1, the shoes, I had Jordan's boots.
Oh.
So he
I
didn't
was
have
gonna
my
bring
size.
that up, but I.
My small feet.
Yeah, the costume. So Jordan wears like a size 10. I wear a size like 11 and a half, 12. And so I was wearing like 2 sizes too small for me the whole shoot, and my feet felt like canned tuna. Like that's the only thing I could like describe how my feet felt.
There's a
was
really good
great.
shot at the end of episode 1 where all the Rangers are defeated on the floor and the Arbiter is walking toward us. And you could tell how Mike is walking. It's like, he looks like a robot, but it's really because he's like, my feet.
Greatness. Oh, man. The helmets, too. Keeping the helmets together were hard. Everybody's, they always had to get something to get, keep the latches on. And it was a good experience, though, thinking back.
Dude.
Oh yeah, the Yellow Ranger zipper. I always need a 2-person crew to zip me up every time I get out, so I try not to pee, like at all.
Take business before you get on. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Lockdown.
I think Mike is being a little bit modest about his troubles with the
Oh,
Arbiter
yeah.
suit too. Just if you could expand on this, Mike, your story time, your version. I'm gonna give my short version. Is that from what I can see in every episode we've done so far, the Arbiter has like a struggle in himself just to get through the shoot, just to like fight through all the scenes, and it feels like to me, like everybody thinks, oh, the Rangers are dying, and in my head when we're filming, I'm like, oh man, Mike must be dying right now.
That's why he's so mad.
It's me.
Man. Then the first episode was the boots. The second episode, we were all in that freaking we started going to the art factory, and it's all dark. We didn't have the spray for the visors yet, so Mike's got his fogged up thing, and he's got, like I said before, he's got it on longer than everybody else. He's got, and he in between shots, sometimes we take our helmets off. He's like, "Nah, I'm good. If I take it off, then I have to get used to it again." So he's got through the breaks. He's got it through when we're checking the gate, when we're looking at the camera, we're checking the footage. He's just still there. He's still the Arbiter, standing in his suit, full costume, full helmet, bad fitting boots. And I'm like, damn, man, that guy's a trooper. Every episode, third episode, I'm sure he could tell you even more. But it's just like, it seems like he's got his own struggle every time. That character is so demanding.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan is right. That's where I get my inspiration from. I'm like, I'm going to kill these Rangers. I'm like, no, I'm really going to destroy them. So yes, absolutely. But Jordan we did end up getting some new boots eventually, which was great. That was like, I never knew how much just regular fitting shoes, like I was just like, I have no more quarrels with anything. Like anything to keep the cold. I don't care about anything else anymore. My boots fit and I'm happy. You
Wow.
know? Like it was a great feeling, to say the truth.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of other Rangers, you did create the Arbiter for this series. We also have another Ranger coming up in episode 4, if I'm correct.
Original Ranger?
Yes. A golden one?
Oh, that's actually going to be in our next side episode before episode 4.
Oh, excuse me. So what was it like? Well, I mean, it's just fantastic how you guys are building on the whole, Ranger universe in your own specific way. How much did everything from, say, the Boom Studios, influence or inspire you in this whole project?
I mean, a lot. I mean, I feel like Boom Studios kind of did what I felt like the Power Rangers fandom needed on TV and in movies, which is like make the series more mature. Because when you really think about it, Power Rangers as a concept has dark elements. Like it's a bunch of kids fighting giant monsters to save the world. Like those are pretty big stakes for some teenagers, right? So I think Boom Studios kind of like put or took the series in the direction I think fans wanted to go anyway. So when they introduced Draken, that was actually around the time I was actually working on the first draft of Unworthy. So I was like, oh, I'm making like an evil ranger, and they come out with their version of Evil Ranger, and it's Tommy. So I was like, oh, this is way better. But I decided to kind of take that and incorporate that in Unworthy rather than just kind of be like, all right, well, they're doing it too. I was like, all right, maybe I can build off of what they're doing and have Draken be the reason why the Arbiter is so pissed off in the first place. And it kind of worked out that way. But and it kind of keeps coinciding like that in the same way that they released the Time Force Black Ranger in the comics recently, or it's coming out. We were already in the works of making the Gold Time Force Ranger for Chrono Ranger. So I was like, who's tapping my phone right now? What's going on?
Now, speaking of which, does your Chrono Ranger have a name yet, or are you going to loosely relate it to Yoshi's character, Joe, from the tabletop game?
He's an original character, so he's not Joe. That's like the first question people have who are fans of Hyperforce. We haven't officially just said his name in the series yet, but we have released his name on social media here and there. So his name's actually going to be Caden Pierce. And he's a Silver Time Force Ranger who had an encounter with the Arbiter and became the Chrono Ranger that we know today. So the Chrono Ranger side story is kind of an explanation as to why he is the way he is in episode 3.
Now, for everybody else here, we already know the Mike down here. He's a geek, a long-going geek, as he said, like Jordan back when they were, rolling around playing on the street. How about you guys? Are you guys even a fan of Sentai? I know Jordan's going to say yes, so I'm not even going to. You're skipped on this one. No.
You go first, Eric.
Christine, oh, okay. All right. I'll go first. So that was wow, kind of jinx. When I was really young, like preschool young, my first memory of Power Rangers was I knew of them. I seen them like here and there on TV, and I was into martial arts when I was 5 years old. So by preschool, I was like four or five. I was already like, kind of introduced to that whole world. And I had a friend. I'll never forget this memory because it might be exaggerated in my brain, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I had a friend that I met in preschool, and I remember going over his house one day, and he was like, "Hey, you want to see my Power Ranger collection?" And I was like, "Sure." And I walked down into his basement, and literally, I'm not joking, everywhere, all over his basement. Look up at the shelves, Power Rangers from wall to wall. He opens up a box. Look, these are more of my Power Rangers. Boom. Power Rangers on the floor. And then,
Slow down. You're getting so excited. The microphone's not working.
oh, I'm sorry. Where did you lose me? Am I still here?
Wall to wall to wall. More in this box.
Yeah.
Wall to wall to wall. Box of Power Rangers. Power Rangers on the floor. Skittles but people. And then I was like, damn, what is this? And he explained to me, he basically introduced me to what Power Rangers was. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I watched it here and there growing up on TV. I would see some episodes. I got more into it later on, surprisingly. I was more of an anime fan as far as like Dragon Ball Z stuff, and that was like my hardcore, like my heart growing up. But then, especially obviously when we got started into this, then I had to really get more into it. And now I've been learning more of the different series and the different types of Rangers and stuff like that.
And any from Japan that you would like to see, incorporated, or maybe like Q Ranger, Jew Ranger, any of that, and maybe we can hit Jordan and maybe put in a little nod to.
Yeah, actually, Jordan's gonna have to help me with the name because I don't remember the one that I was doing for Chris Cantata. We did a, you know how Chris Cantata does those like Pink Ranger videos. Oh yeah, the morphs. We did one for Red. I don't know if he came out with it yet, but I took a sequence from what was the Ranger? Do you remember, Jordan?
Die Ranger.
Die Ranger, yeah. That's one from Japan that I would love to do because I was watching him on YouTube and I was like, ooh, that's a cool Ranger.
Nice. Christine, how about you? What's your Power Ranger history? And, if there's anything you could ask Jordan, maybe incorporate from one of those seasons that might have got skipped if you happen to be familiar with it.
For sure. I'm gonna out myself right now, out the gate, that I'm not too familiar with the Sentais from Japan,
That's
although
okay.
I should be.
That's my face.
Oh wait, I didn't. Oh well. I missed that overwhelming sense of judgment, which I'm okay with. Um, but I was a really massive fan when I was a kid. Like I was one of the Rangers, like dressed up every year, from like 5 to like 9, and it would be like different Rangers too. It wouldn't be like different. It wouldn't be the same costume. But I grew up. The first season I remember is Wild Force, like vividly. That was like the one that I grew up with, and I really loved the white. She was like a white pink ranger, and I think she was like a
Hmm.
wolf.
Yep.
Oh my God, I thought she was
Noble
awesome.
Tiger.
Yes,
Yeah.
Noble Tiger. Oh my God, I was so obsessed with her. I wanted to be exactly like her. And then like as I grew up, it kind of like went like faded by the waves, and I started getting into more like Pokemon, like Yu-Gi-Oh. I was really into like those like the cards and like video games and stuff like that. Really like mainstream sort of stuff. And then later, like I was obsessed with Inuyasha, although I'm told this is a mid-tier anime, and I hate that. um, yeah, I mean, like video games, Super Smash Brother, like I like those kind of nerdy stuff I was into, and then as I grew older, it kind of just like disappeared for some reason, and I guess like because it wasn't so mainstream, and I was more like hooked up with every like other things like TV shows that other people would talk about. But then, going into Unworthy, I had to like reinvest like all the stuff that I had since I was a kid. And yeah, it's like a really weird experience. 6 months before I met Jordan and everybody, I had a dream that I was a Power Ranger, like out of nowhere. Did I tell you this? That's so weird, right?
You told
Like
me, yeah.
I told Eric like a million times. I was like, that's so weird. And like at that point, I wasn't really like into Power Rangers, but I just like had that dream out of nowhere. But
How cool was that? So how about you, Micah? What's obviously you played as kids with Jordan and everything, but what are some either Power Ranger memories you have or favorite seasons or Sentai?
Oh yes. So Power Rangers is the reason that I started into martial arts, actually, because I used to sit in front of the TV and just doing all the moves that they was doing, just wilding. And my uncle looked and told my mother, like, yo, you got to put him into martial arts because he's just kicking and punching everywhere, and he can probably do a lot less damage in a dojo than in my house. So let's get him into some martial arts. So then that was the birth of what just kind of led into like me just loving everything that was fighting, and Power Rangers was the reason why. And then of course, we're in trouble. Something's gone. When that movie came out, oh my God, you couldn't tell me that I was not Tommy. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't Zach. You couldn't tell. I was all of the Rangers, even the girl Rangers. I was all of them, man. You could not tell me I wasn't Rangers. When they went into ninja form, that's going to be my shout out. That's going to be what I'm going to talk about, is that ninja costumes they had, the ninja version in that movie was mind blowing. First of all, I didn't expect it. I was just like, Power Rangers, okay, cool. They did this, and then they got new costumes. I was like, what is happening? That just took it to a whole new level. I became a super fan, and then after that, animes. Jordan already knows I am a diehard Naruto fan. I love that is my Bible. Let's just say that Naruto is my Bible, and that is just that's my thing. I relate everything in life to Naruto. So if you ever go to my Instagram page, you'll see all the tattoos, the Naruto-inspired tattoos. I absolutely love it. And then all the other surrounding Inuyasha, things like that, Yu Yu Hakusho, Sailor Moon, so all of the, Dragon Ball Z, all of the like mid-tier, animes that everybody was watching on Toonami and everything like that. Shout out, I'm like 31, so that's my just a shout out to my age right there. And then I started to get, once I met Jordan and everybody, I started to learn about all other cool animes, and it just opened my whole world to like the geekdom, the fandom world, and I was just like, what? And now, you know, I'm watching everything to what's the joint, the Food Wars, you know, which is kind of weird. But I watch anything now, which is great. Sword Art Online, you know, shout outs to, you know, all them joints, man. So I love it.
All right, Jordan, now over to you. What series what was your first Ranger series? And then if there's another series or Sentai that you could incorporate into Unworthy, which one would it be?
Well, I'm OG, so I was there in '93 with Mighty Morphin. Hence why Unworthy is based on Mighty Morphin. And I was a fan of Power Rangers Hardcore probably up until like Time Force. That's where I kind of fell off consistently, but I came back for things like that were legacy based, like Dino Thunder and stuff like that. I haven't watched the new stuff consistently, but in terms of like Sentai, I'm with Eric. Like I just love the kung fu style and like the hardcore poses of the Die Rangers. And I really wish they had incorporated that into the second and third season of Power Rangers with the Thunder Rangers. That'd been awesome.
Cool. Well, I think this has been a fantastic interview. I really appreciate everybody taking a chance to, you know, talk to me today and getting everybody out there, letting them know you guys are still here. You know, we're just talking to everybody. So if we can go real quick right around, if everybody wants to find you on social media, where can we find you? Ladies first.
You can find me on Instagram at Christina Hillary Lee.
Jordan?
Instagram, The Blurred Vision, but mostly Unworthy Productions on Instagram as well.
Eric?
Hey, my Instagram is Epic Eric Fuchs. That's just Epic, and then my name, Eric Fuchs.
Mike?
Oh, yeah. So I'm Poison Sage. The last O in Poison is a 0_Sage. You can find me on Instagram right there. James Michael Robinson III, baby.
And for me, folks, you can find me right here on that hashtag show, or you can check me out at Off the Cuff Gaming. Once again, I want to thank everybody here from Power Rangers Unworthy for taking the time today to talk with us. Make sure to stay tuned to that hashtag show for everything trending in geek pop culture.